Welcome to the Public Sector Marketing Show, a podcast for government and public sector marketing professionals who want to level up their digital marketing and social media knowledge, skills, and strategic thinking. And now, welcome your host, Joanne Sweeney.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Public Sector Marketing Show. A year into coronavirus and we're trying to come up with innovative and creative ways to engage a Zoom-fatigued public. So in this episode, I've got some creative ideas for virtual events. Also coming up in the show, why virtual events deliver a great return on your digital marketing efforts. 12 virtual event ideas for government and public sector. My top virtual event tools. Sign up for the 2021 Public Sector Digital Marketing Summit. It's going online for the first time this year. And finally, I speak to Fiona Cairns and Selena Kramer. They work as social media and event team managers at the EPP Group in the European Parliament. Over the past year, they have turned their in-person meetings into fantastic virtual and hybrid get-togethers. So if you are arranging a virtual event, stay tuned and be inspired. In today's column, I am advocating for virtual events, not just because we've been forced to go online over the past year, but I think it's opened organizations' minds into the potential and also into the digital marketing return. So here are some reasons why you should embrace virtual events, and not just through coronavirus, but also into the future. The first thing that it does is it allows you to give a platform to your subject matter experts. Often in traditional media, it's the CEO or perhaps the media spokesperson who will go out and be front of screen and who will be the trusted voice. The one thing that we've learned about the digital age is that we need to scale digital communications right across the organization and give voice to every single department. So when you host a virtual event, it's an opportunity to put other people front and center of the conversation. Another opportunity in hosting virtual events is the data that it provides to us. If you're interested to know how engaged the public is in a new piece of policy, a new campaign, or a new initiative, host a virtual event. Let's see how much they engage through social, through search, onto your landing page, and then converting to actually registering. Another important value of virtual events for digital marketing is the repurposability of events. This show here is repurposed to the maximum effect. So even if you cannot attend an event, people who missed it will get the opportunity to revisit important segments and important points. I also love virtual events because they allow me to reach an international and a more global audience. This is probably the same for you. No real need to fly speakers in from countries, no real need for you to fly out to another country to speak at an in-person event. It allows you to really expand your tribe, your network of influencers, and also your influence. I know that we want in-person events to come back, and they absolutely will, but I do believe that they will come back as hybrid events, a mix of in-person and also a mix of online. You also have the opportunity with a virtual event to showcase your organization in a way that you haven't been able to do before. You can take us behind the scenes. You can also put other people front of screen. You can also have a panel discussion and a debate about issues that are divisive or that are important to the public. And ultimately, it provides transparency. And of course, as you know, for me, that is the ultimate conversion in digital marketing for government and public sector. You are willing to go front of center of screen. You're willing to invite the public to ask you questions. You're willing to answer those tough questions in public, and you're willing to show up time and time again. So if you want to improve your digital marketing this year, and if you haven't already, why not embrace virtual events? And with each event that you do, I promise you, you will get better.
Level up your digital skills by taking our diploma in digital marketing, plus gain an industry qualification. Use the code DigitalMarketing20 for a 20% discount.
Visit publicsectormarketingpros.com.
Now that you've decided to host a virtual event, you need to understand how that event marries into your organizational objective and the specific type of event that is best to host. I've done the hard work and I've come up with some ideas for you. One thing that you might want to consider is our event 100% virtual, or is it a mix of virtual and also hybrid? Why might you consider hybrid? Well, hybrid will serve two audiences. An audience that can come into the venue. Perhaps you want to bring key speakers into a conference hall and broadcast them virtually. Or maybe you want to get better return on your investment for your event. Maybe by having some of it in a studio, high quality production gives you a better opportunity to repurpose it as well. Hybrid events also allow you to elevate the quality of the digital output, and we'll find out more about that later from the ladies at the EPP group, and that was one of their objectives. In organizing a digital or hybrid event, you're also going to be simultaneously improving your digital knowledge and your digital skills. Because when you step into the online world, you have no option but to understand technology, understand targeting, understand data, understand automation, and understand digital marketing. So now you have an objective for your event. What event should you hold? So this is where I've compiled 12 virtual event ideas for government and public sector that you can tap into that will meet an organizational need. So the first idea might be where you have an objective to generate awareness or engagement around a cause, a policy, or a specific controversial topic. A great virtual event idea is a webinar. Webinars, by their very nature, are information-led. So if somebody is interested in a topic, they are more likely to sign up, and it allows you then to speak directly to them. Webinars can be live, but they can also be what we call evergreen or on demand. People can sign up for a webinar and they can take it in their own time. Webinars usually last around between 30 and 90 minutes. It's a defined period of time, enough time but not too much time for people to get involved in that conversation and to get the information that they need. Also with webinars, there's an understanding that there might be a questions and answers at the end. What if you want to engage the public for feedback or for public consultation? Over the past year, it's been very difficult for local government, national government, and other public sector agencies to engage in traditional public consultation processes. I think that actually we've been handed a great opportunity to really transform how we've been doing public engagement and asking the public for their feedback on important policies and legislation that ultimately are going to impact them. So how are you going to bring your public consultation event virtual? I've been working with a number of clients and I've seen virtual public consultation rooms, I've seen maps, I've seen documents that people can download, I've seen videos, and I've also seen surveys. All of this can be undertaken by the public and by citizens in the palm of their hand by virtue of their smartphone. If you're launching a report, a study, or indeed a survey, then perhaps you want to go live. Going live and indeed simulcasting that live stream on multiple platforms is a great way to get somebody's attention. When you go live, there is a perception that this is a significant event and you've got something important to talk about. You might also want to launch a new product, a new service, or indeed a building or a facility. And I also recommend going live for an event like that. How about a peer-to-peer event where you want to have a conversation with people in your own industry? Well, a great event is to host a virtual networking event, getting people together with a shared interest, maybe having some guest speakers. Internal communications has been difficult throughout the pandemic as workplaces become digital. So make sure that you consider team building events online and broadcasting experts on mental health, well-being, or maybe even entertaining your staff in the comfort of their own home. Public relations is also a digital marketing and a comms tactic that has gone virtual over the past year. We've seen some great examples of live streamed press conferences. So you have to make sure that your PR is agile. It's perhaps digital first. So you're launching your statements, your press releases, and your videos on digital and social media first. Number 8, what about procurement? What about if you want to engage the private sector and you want to get some interest in some upcoming projects that you want to procure? You could actually host a virtual trade show session, and there's lots of great technology and software to support these types of events. Training for staff is also an important objective of your organization. I've brought all of my training online. We have learning management systems. We have automation set up. We've got our digital communications and marketing set up, and we can deliver live online or live at your pace course material. Number 10, external meetings with stakeholders. So this again is perhaps peer-to-peer, but with people in other organizations. How about having a fireside chat? Now, you won't necessarily be beside a fire in your living room, but it really gives that sense of an intimate but a more in-depth conversation. Then you might have an internal meeting. We've seen that Zoom has grown exponentially over the past year, Microsoft Teams, we have Google Meet, we have lots of other platforms that have supported organizations in keeping their internal communications and their internal meetings going. But a nice little tip for you is, how about opening your calendar and hosting office hours? So maybe I can speak to the CEO on a Friday in the afternoon and I can book perhaps 15 minutes. So office hours is where you open your calendar, you open your virtual diary, and you invite your staff to make perhaps a 15-minute appointment with you and to get things off their chest. Really good tactic for internal comms and making sure that staff feel listened to and connected to their place of work. And then finally, what about a celebration? Have you got an awards launch, or do you have a graduation? You can absolutely bring these celebratory events online, and I have hosted 4 virtual graduations in the past year. So with all of that, we need the tech, the tools, and the apps to support us. So I have all of my favorite apps that I have in my digital toolbox to help me put events together, starting with Zoom for internal meetings and to record my training presentations. I also use StreamYard to create a branded studio. I then have elevated a little bit to using Ecamm Live. It's for Macs only, and I combine that with my Stream Deck. So I can actually create fully produced virtual TV-like shows from the comfort of my office. I also use YouTube and Facebook for my main live streaming platforms. This show, Public Sector Marketing Show, goes out on a Wednesday at 11 on YouTube and Facebook, and they are streamed there. I also use Restream.io, which is a tool that allows me to schedule a simulcast, and a simulcast is a live stream going across more than one platform. I also use Kartra as my learning management system, and this allows me to give my students and my clients access to exclusive and VIP learning materials. And then finally, to brand it all together, I use Canva. Jamila, our graphic designer, would brand our templates, and then it allows me and our other assistants to go in quickly and to edit branded templates that we already have. So what tools, software, and apps will you use? It's really important to have a toolkit together. You can use the ones that I have recommended, or maybe you have others that you would recommend to your colleagues. If you do have some tools that you love, do let me know.
A one-stop shop digital marketing and social media resource. Join our membership academy for 12 months. Access a library of how-to videos, template strategies, and organisational policies. Monthly live coaching. Attend webinars with subject matter experts. Meet and network with public sector pros from across the world. Use the code MEMBERSHIP20 for a 20% discount.
Visit publicsectormarketingpros.com.
In this episode, I speak to Fiona Kearns and Selena Kramer, who are the social media and events and campaigns team at the EPP Group in the European Parliament. Both Selena and Fiona are graduates of Public Sector Marketing Institute, having taken our diploma in digital marketing for government and public sector. The EPP Group is the largest and oldest political grouping in the European Parliament. They represent 175 MEPs in 27 member states. So as you can imagine, they have a massive obligation and need to host in-person events. But of course, because of coronavirus, the European Parliament, like other government institutions, were essentially shut down for over a year. But this did not stop these two ladies and their colleagues in Brussels. They have pivoted, and can I tell you, they have created what I would describe as world-class digital events by, you know what? By taking action. So thanks to Selena and to Fiona for sharing their insights, their how-to, and the results of how you can go from in-person to online for great digital marketing success.
Just to give you an idea of the complexity of the environment that we work in. So we've got 175 members from 27 countries. And normally when we have group meetings or do large events, where you're talking about this being translated into 13 languages at the same time, simultaneous translation. The European Parliament has a translation service. So this is provided to us from the European Parliament. But Selena was already ahead of the curve. So actually, thankfully for me too, because I only took on this new job of coordinating the events unit in the newly formed campaigns directorate in our group, which actually itself is a little bit a result of the digitalization, and the kind of transformation that we're going through at the moment.
Yes, I mean, in social media, there was already a digital aspect, of course, of meeting each other, which kind of started with Instagram Live. So there was an opportunity to split screens there and to go live with someone else joining. So there were opportunities to invite an expert, for example, and combine them with a member of European Parliament, or let members of European Parliament talk to each other on a specific topic. However, I wanted to bring this to other platforms as well, because it's quite limited. I mean, Instagram is a certain audience, and I wanted to do this on Facebook, for example. But Facebook is not yet there, which is, I think they're a bit behind, to be honest, with split screens. So you can't have lives, at least on pages, with multiple people like we're doing now, this Zoom. It would be perfect to have the same thing on Facebook while going live. So to have this solution, I kind of searched for solutions and started streaming ourselves. So what we did was first doing an Instagram Live and turning that Instagram Live into a Facebook Premiere, as they call it. So what's different with Premiere and Live is basically that you stream a pre-recorded video as being a live video. However, I always tell my audience that it's not live, because if they start asking questions, it's a bit silly when nobody responds on those questions. So we always tell people it's not live, it's an Instagram Live, it's pre-recorded, but at least you can have that conversation on Facebook as well. So we do a lot of them at the moment. So we go first live on Instagram. Then our editor actually turns that into a Facebook Live. So that means she puts it into templates. And maybe I can show you. So this is an Instagram Live. As you know it, normally the split screens are on top of one another. And we basically, our editor made sure that these screens are in a template, so next to each other. And you prepare this video, you save this video, and then on Facebook you can premiere it as being a live. So people can just still enjoy the conversation. And this was a way for us, this is how it started, to do this kind of live mini events, so one-on-one basically.
And can I ask you a question, Selena, about it? What I really love about Instagram Live is that the production requirement is very, very low. You simply have your phone, you're on your Instagram account, and then you have your guest join you. Was that one of the factors to maybe prompt the MEPs using Instagram Live because it was easy?
Yeah, definitely. And we had to test it also with a few MEPs we knew were more tech savvy than others. Yeah, we tried to find MEPs who kind of feel comfortable doing this and who are using their Instagram a lot. And what I saw in COVID, in the COVID period, is more and more members saw the opportunity of an Instagram Live. So some of them have their weekly shows. They kind of invite experts or people, I don't know, entrepreneurs or other people on their show, and they talk to them. And I think that's a very easy way to have a conversation with the public. And if you do this every week, you kind of have a rhythm. So it's like a podcast. People come back to you because they know the new episode is coming. I mean, we all love new episodes on Netflix, and that's basically how it works as well. So you have to find a kind of rhythm. If you say one Instagram Live is too much, then you can easily do one a month. But at least if you keep this rhythm and people know when your new episodes will come, then it definitely works.
So that was the entry point for bringing your events online. What was the next step up for you guys?
Well, we were building a studio on our floor. Actually, that's what happened just before COVID. So what we had was a traditional TV studio. Bit like the setup was a bit like a TV news anchor kind of spot, which I disliked for years actually, but now it was an opportunity for me to change this. And I also consulted Joanne actually on this, how it should look like, and we brainstormed a bit, and I turned it into kind of, it looks like a bit like a living room, like very tiny living room kind of space, and the idea behind it was that guests could come over there, you know, 2 of them, for example, and have a chat without really having the idea that you're in a TV studio or you're in the European Parliament. Because all our walls are grey and meeting rooms are meeting rooms, you know, and nobody loves to see meeting rooms. And I think from that idea, our next step was born, also bringing people together in an easy way. And I think the advantage, and I'm sure it will stay after COVID as well, is that people don't have to invest the time to travel. I mean, we have a lot of international guests on these events, and I'm sure they wouldn't have joined if they should have been there in person, basically. So I think that's a big opportunity. These events that Fiona mentioned, like the first cancer one with the Marie Keating Foundation, this is one we did in-house. So there was no production team. It was just me with a very strong computer. You can't do this on a normal computer. You really need a computer with a strong graphic card. So if you have an in-house editor, they absolutely know, or video producer, they absolutely know what kind of laptop or PC you need, because these video call programs, especially WebEx, they really need a strong graphic card. You need strong internet, so you make sure that your internet connection is stable. And then you need something like Canva. I don't know if some of you are working already with that. It's a great designer tool for non-designers, and you can make templates there. And that's the way basically to brand your Zoom call or WebEx call. So it doesn't look like WebEx anymore or Zoom, but you can brand it and you can tell people who's on the panel. You can bring in videos. You can bring in your leader, your outro, and that's the way we kind of set up these mini events of an hour. So, of course, there's a whole organizational side of it, and that's where Fiona's strength is. So that's the part where we work together. So I bring the technical part, she brings the organizational part, and her event expertise, and that's how it works. Just technically, this is all done in Canva. So this is really just an image, basically, and music. And I use OBS or Streamlab to mix it. That's a mixing program. So you can basically bring your visuals and all your videos and the video call program. You can all bring it together. And that's how you can make these kind of events. Just to...
Is starting.
You want to go to move to industry, and what options are there? So then,
with this
battle, I had a list of many ideas.
But we branded
to change from society.
Just a bit better than just the WebEx screen.
Like having a warm
you can give information to your public, basically who's on the panel,
and I decided to start
what is it about,
and that was
and you can brand it with your logo.
Open day for students. You consider doing a PhD, and I thought, okay, I enjoy doing this
as an aid to simple communications and conversations at a time when we're locked down in our country because of coronavirus. And
I see there's a question actually.
Sorry, Celine, you don't mind me interrupting. I just wanted to know, you were saying, so you put the foreground on with the image, with the branding. Can I ask, if you're using OBS, do you have your recording, was it from WebEx or Zoom? And then are you bringing that recording into OBS and then putting the branding image over it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Sorry, I just want.
So you're basically window capturing. Yeah. So the window capturing, the inputs then is WebEx or Zoom or whatever video call program you're using, and then the Canva template is basically your layer on top of it. And you have to kind of puzzle and move it a little bit and cut it a little bit to see how it looks like. That's why I always ask people to be there at least 20 minutes before, so I can already move and play a bit with OBS. And in OBS, you stream it to a dedicated platform like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever platform you like.
And could you, if you didn't have, I'm going to say the word courage, I'm not sure if courage is the right word, but I thought of another word there, but actually it's completely inappropriate. If you didn't want to click the stream live button, could you also just click record on OBS and record your piece and then put it out?
Definitely, you can record it and just save it as a video and maybe premiere it later on Facebook or put it later on YouTube. Definitely, yeah. It doesn't have to be live necessarily.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. I'm going to try that out. Cheers.
Welcome.
Actually, Celine, if I could just add there, this was, again, every single event we learn something and we do something a bit new. So this event, Selena, correct me if I'm wrong, was the first event we put a pre-recorded video into because Joanne wasn't able to make the event because she had a training, perhaps of you guys. So she sent this pre-recorded video to us. And I don't know, Celine, it might be interesting for people to know how you slip that in as well to the event.
Basically, it's another layer. In OBS, you make scenes. So you're director of your own show. So let's say your first scene is starting soon. Because I always start my streams a little bit earlier because the public gets a notification on social media when you go live. And you don't want them to miss the beginning. So it's always smart to kind of 5 minutes, depends on how big your event is, but like 5 minutes or at least 2 minutes before your event starts, that you already start the live stream. And just to say to your public, nothing is wrong technically, that you don't see anything yet. So that's why we use a starting soon or even a countdown clock, but that's more advanced. So that's how it starts. And then I'll build my second scene. So I kind of go through the script to see what's coming next. And I put my videos in between it and the outro. So with Joanne, I put the video in OBS and I put the layer from Canva on top of her. And in that way, it looked like any other guest on the show. I think people didn't even know she wasn't there live. You couldn't tell because it was as clear as the quality was the same as any other guest on the show. So that's basically how we do it.
We're looking at the finished product and we're all so impressed. And I know we all want to be able to deliver it, but I can't overstate the importance of planning and the script and the production schedule. Just talk to us a little bit, Fiona, that's probably your side as well, where you're mapping out an event and how you map it out. What are the steps?
Again, thankfully, from the previous smaller events we have, Selena uses Google Doc all the time, which, as I said, I'm a dinosaur. So I have moved from my, my very limited knowledge of the digital tools I need for my work, which is mostly my email that I seem to be living in, to using Google Doc and sharing everything and updating. And, and I have to say, again, a great tool that you can share everything. And this is what we do for the scripts. And I think for our most recent event, which was a very strange one, we might talk to that later, it was actually a pop-up event, Selena has called it now, which was a book launch we were asked to do, a very kind of niche event. But these scripts on Google Doc, we actually had a meeting with the journalists and with the whole team, the strategy team, ourselves, the events unit, myself, Selena, social media, and the journalist changed the document live on the screen. We shared the screen and we all agreed together.
We started working actually with the Google Drive during COVID as social media team, because we exchange a lot of visuals, a lot of videos, etc. So that was our way to kind of make sure that everybody has access to the same content without having to email everyone. And, you have always like these Word documents with version 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then you're lost. So also for events, we started to use the Google Drive. So what I do is for every campaign, I set up a folder dedicated for this campaign and for this event. And in that folder, I make a folder of photos, videos, program, save the dates, look and feel. Because that's in terms of how do we organize these events. I think it starts with the strategy unit saying we want an event on jobs. I go to Fiona, I said, okay, they want an event on jobs. They get an event on jobs. Who are our speakers and what's the messaging? That's the first thing we have to know. Like, what's the messaging and who do we want to reach? Because if you're organizing an event for only young people, or you're organizing an event for journalists, or you're organizing an event for entrepreneurs, these are three different events basically, because you have three different target audiences. So that's our first step. And the second thing is, of course, we have a branding as EPP Group, but we have a dedicated look and feel for every of these big campaigns. So that's a brainstorm between Fiona and me. What do we like? How should it look like? What kind of people should we use? Because we're a people's party, so we always try to have people involved. It's a back and forth with our designer in terms of look and feel. And once we have established that, the whole thing kind of starts. At my side, it's the designing part, so both for social media visuals and videos, but also for how the studio will look like, because these are studio events, so we're actually having a studio with screens. And what do you put on the screen? How do videos look like, so that you make sure that everything is kind of branded in the same way, and that people, when they see it, immediately recognize it as being, this is from the health event, this is from the jobs event, And I keep using that as well. So when the event is over, I keep using that dedicated look and feel for that specific campaign. So that's basically our starting point for the events. And then we go into like the whole procedure of having guests on the show. I don't know, Fiona, can you tell more about that?
Yeah, that's a good point, Selena. So we get a program then from the strategy unit. And, you know, the program is more or less always in the same format, an introduction, 2 panels, at the end of each panel, questions and answers, and kind of concluding remarks, more or less. But as I say, as we've been getting better at doing this, our management have also been getting better at challenging us with different things. So it started off with a health event, the mega events, if you like, and all the planets aligned for us at that particular time, because this was just when the vaccine had been, discovered. So we managed to get the CEO of Pfizer, Moderna, BioNTech, an amazing lineup of participants. So behind the scenes, you know, in the event side of it, you know, these people all have to be contacted. They have to be tested as well. They have to be tested through the Interactio system the day before the event. So we learned a lot of that at the first event, the setup, you know, the save the date first. So now we have established a kind of a system. So as Selena said, we decide on the look and feel. We even fight on the look and feel sometimes because, but we love each other at the same time. But, you know, it's to get it right. And Selena's always looking at it from the social media side too, and what you can repurpose and what you can reuse. And so it's good that there are 2 angles, you know, coming at this. So we have the save the date, the invitation, a vade-mecum of the speakers as well too, all before the event. The journalist as well, the briefings, going through the scripts. Selena has a doc script, a technical script, which is minute by minute. I think she could patent it and sell it. Where you put the little intro in, the bumpers, the music, the videos now that we insert because we're kind of going Eurovision style, the outros, and, you know, how it ends. And really, we learned all this by doing it because, you know, we started the first event, which actually I still really, really like the look and feel. I don't know, Selena, if you want to show a little bit of the health event or just the... Yeah,
maybe the highlight video of the event just to get an idea of how it looked.
The biggest crisis of our generation has demonstrated that health really is our wealth. So it's a time to put it at the core of European politics.
There is on the vaccination no first and second class European. There is no rich or poor country. There is no east, west, south, north. There are only Europeans.
What a great honor it is for me, not only as CEO of Pfizer, but also as a European.
The communication flow, big data, this needs to work.
These are the most important ingredients of coming up with a vaccine in shortest possible time.
We could provide the world a new version, if needed, now within a matter of weeks as opposed to months.
We discovered with the set of action, precisely with 5 actions, we could save 3 million lives.
I don't think the group could have found a better moment and a better subject.
We all know, and we have said from the beginning, that it's not vaccines that will be saving lives, but it is vaccination.
In only 20 days, we created together with our member states an ERA versus Corona action plan.
Having one vaccine developed within less than a year is already a miracle of modern research.
It was our common approach and also our scientific standards that have been proved to be successful.
keep following the EPP group on health-related issues via hashtag EPP4Health and via @EPP Group accounts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and YouTube.
Maybe good to say is that we have a team in the European Parliament, a production team to do all of this. I mean, I know it looks very fancy. You definitely need help from a production team to do these things. I couldn't have managed it without it. So on the contrary, like the STEM events or the smaller events, we could handle ourselves. But these events, you definitely need help from professional camera people, a director, and what we deliver is basically all these bumpers, the lower third, so the name tags, the intros, the outros, the whole look and feel, what will be on the screens, and they put it together. That's basically how it works. Fiona, back to you.
Yeah, good point, Selena. You know, we do have a lot of resources. There are television studios in the European Parliament, and as we're saying, you know, it is COVID and they're not being used. So this is a fantastic opportunity. But COVID brought us here, if you like, to move us from those small events then to these kind of mini events. You know, the studio Selena has, she had some experience with that. Then we had this hybrid event with jobs. We moved on to cancer. I think the cancer highlight video is fabulous too.
Beating cancer has been a top priority for the EPP group in the European Parliament, starting with the Cancer Master Plan in 2019, which contributed to today's unveiling of the EU Beating Cancer Plan. The message is clear. If we work together, we can make a real difference in people's lives.
Now, the question is, why should Europe have a role in this? Well, because numbers tell a story.
À partir du moment où on vous diagnostique cette maladie, je pense qu'au niveau mental, on rentre dans un combat, dans une lutte, dans un quotidien qui est totalement différent.
Cancer has a potential to become really the number one reason for death in Europe. And that's why we are picking this up as a top priority for us in politics in European level.
Even in Europe, our ability to successfully complete treatment without financial hardship is determined by the country we live and our socioeconomic status. And this is not acceptable, ladies and gentlemen.
Empty words will not help us to beat cancer. I'm here today to make commitments with you on behalf of European football.
Today, we are mobilizing all the collective power and financial backing of the EU to drive change along the entire cancer pathway.
One of our 5 main missions is the mission on cancer, with a very concrete objective: 3 million saved lives by 2030.
Certainly, the Beating Cancer Plan has many areas in which we can already work a lot, in spite of the COVID.
Based on also learnings and successes with COVID, we may benefit for applications in cancer.
Today, we are talking about precision medicine and knowledge networks. But tomorrow is intersection. At the intersection, it is a space where we can treat patients before the disease.
It's a good example that European cooperation, European investment in science and technology can solve problems, and we need to continue this way.
Keep following the EPP group on health-related issues via hashtag EPP4Health or on cancer via hashtag EU Can Beat Cancer, and of course via the EPP group accounts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and YouTube. From all of us here in the European Parliament, thank you for watching and goodbye for now, and stay safe.
I think this has been a very, very smart approach. I've been watching from the outside, and what you've been doing is you've kind of moved away in a bit from mass messaging, and you've niched down on topics and niche audiences, but you can get better impact. And I think that's a smart move. And I think that's been one of the takeaways for me from listening to you and watching on the outside and hearing what you've done now. You are stepping in and owning topics and bringing it to the people. And as Selena said, to relevant target audiences. And now you have the content. You can now bring that content and then just put some advertising budget behind it. And then, especially the short repurposed highlights videos and the short clips, you have relevant evergreen content now that can be pushed by ads, and then it can hit more target audiences. And I think that is the value in your online events. I think I actually don't think that you see the long-term success of what you've done already. It's been successful in the moment. Everybody's happy. You've gone to plan A, maybe plan B, but you've got through it. But I think there's a longer impact success here. And that's what I see the online events can bring us. And actually, this is how you should, what you've done, and this is from Google, who have been training me and a few other trainers this week to go into the US market. And one of the lines we've been given is that we've experienced a decade of transformation in 12 months. And that's what you've done in your organization. You've done that in 12 months. And the only way to do it is to do it, and you guys have done it. And so I think it's magnificent. And I don't think you're going to go back entirely to the way it was. I think you've charted a new path of hybrid, as you mentioned, Fiona.
Generation is the best educated generation ever. And there we have the biggest problem with unemployment currently. So what is going wrong?
Good afternoon to everyone watching online to our Jobs event, coming to you live from the European Parliament in Brussels.
This conference on jobs for strong recovery could not come at a better time.
Rebuilding economies after a pandemic crisis is our biggest challenge. We need to use the recovery fund to implement reforms and to create long-term jobs.
It was always a promise that we can live in a better world. If we cannot keep this promise, then it opens the doors for Trumpists and for populists, and then it's damaging the European idea. So that's why jobs is really key for 21.
We need to address this together, exactly as we have been doing during the crisis.
When we look at the future, we need to be much more entrepreneur of ourselves than before.
I mean, there is growth potential in terms of job, but it all will depend to some extent on the question of innovation. Jobs and innovation, that's the link in Europe.
Digitalization, if you view it on a broader basis, generates a lot of jobs that have not been available, not even been present about a decade ago.
What I would like to hear from politicians is just the affirmation that we aren't alone in this pandemic and that there is support for us and that not all hope is lost.
We need to do everything in our ability to make sure that they view the future with the optimism that the younger generation actually deserves.
Recovery.
Creating jobs, quality jobs.
Jobs.
And that's it, guys. The ladies started off by introducing us to where they stepped online first with their events. They stepped online with Instagram. They then downloaded the live and brought it over, a bit of post-production, bit of branding, brought it over to Facebook, then stepping it up again into having a panel discussion, then stepping it up again and going into the studio. And they've done this in 6 months. You've done all of this in 6 months. And another big takeaway is you learn by doing. You have to feel the fear and do it anyway. but you need a super schedule and you need to plan and test the tech and just have fun with it. Like, I can see the enthusiasm and the inspiration, not even the motivation to do it, but the inspiration from Selena and Fiona to actually get this done, because it's an adrenaline rush, clearly, but the fruits of it and the rewards, and also the customers, like the EPP group, the MEPs, who are so now spread across the European Union, they're not in Brussels. And so it was really important to step into that void. And all of you need to do that. You need to make sure that you don't go quiet during COVID, out of sight, out of mind, and commanding your own story. So improve incrementally. And I think we've been brought from 0 to 100 in this presentation with all the different methods. I just want to say thank you, because I'm super impressed. I didn't know the detail behind the scenes. I've been watching it on the outside. I had some insights and there were so many takeaways. So thank you for being so generous with your insights, and thank you for bringing your ideas to life and to showing us. I thought it was brilliant.
Level up your social media skills by taking our diploma in social media, plus gain an industry qualification. Use the code SOCIALMedia20 for a 20% discount.
Visit publicsectormarketingpros.com.
With all the talk about online events and going virtual, who remembers this? Welcome to the Public Sector Digital Marketing Summit. A boy band, Derry Girls, and the launch of a book. It was all happening at the 2019 Public Sector Digital Marketing Summit. A big stage with over 20 speakers, all from Ireland and Europe's public sector network. They realised that digital transformation is a conversation that they need to have. It's not a choice, it's a responsibility. We had the Council of the European Union, we had the Health Service Executive, we had the University of Limerick, and we also had the Police Service of Northern Ireland. If you think social media is only for businesses and for people like me who love social media, then you are absolutely wrong. You see, public sector marketing pros are changing the world one digital message at a time. And on that note, well, I've just written the definitive guide to digital marketing and social media for government. Today, I proudly launched my new book, Public Sector Marketing Pro, which is now on Amazon, of course. And this book is going to bring me to Australia in November, where I'll have the opportunity to work with Public Sector Network and to train government officials over there and bring this baby on a book tour. It's been a wonderful day, lots of love, sweat and tears into making this event a reality. But 150 public sector marketing pros came out here to the Mahoney Hall in the wonderful venue that is the Helix. They shared their case studies, their insights and their innovations and how they are changing the world one digital message at a time. So from me, from here at the Helix, I want to say thank you to everybody who was involved. And if you want to continue to work with me, get the book or have a look at the new academy that I launched. You get to work with me for 12 months and the doors to my diploma, the 12-month accredited online course for public sector marketing pros, open on September 1st. The Public Sector Digital Marketing Summit, unfortunately, I had to cancel it in 2020. I had it in person in Dublin for 2 years, but now I am bringing it back in 2021 and I'm going to be hosting a virtual event. So make sure that you subscribe and sign up for news about the summit at publicsectormarketingpros.com/2021 summit. As always, you can get access to the resources and the tools mentioned in this episode on the blog post associated with Public Sector Marketing Show. Go to publicsectormarketingpros.com/podcast. And please, if you enjoy this episode and other episodes, please share the Public Sector Marketing Show with a pro that you know. I'm sure they will thank you for it. Until next time, please rate, review, and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Public Sector Marketing Show. This episode has ended, but your digital journey can continue. Head over to publicsectormarketingpros.com to access resources and links mentioned in today's show and to connect with Joanne and her team. Until the next time, be sure to subscribe, rate and review on your favorite podcast platform.